I grew up in the city and had a great time there, but was ready to move on and really had this pull to get out of the noise. And we both had a passion for growing food and really wanted to expand that part of our lives. I've always wanted to live in a little cabin and just be able to be quiet and focus on music. And then I knew it would involve a lot of work, but that the upfront investment, both in time and money, would be saved drastically in the reduction of rent over the years, which is a big piece. I think like the financial freedom to be able to grow our businesses and do what we want was a big part of it for me, and the ability to grow food and just be closer to the plants and animals and around is, yeah, really awesome.
So I was really inspired to move out here, partially because I love Wick so much, but I think it was a really natural and organic shift in my life too. I definitely just like felt this pull to want to just have a bit of a quieter experience. It really did seem like the best, most natural step for me. Even though I was afraid to do it, I was also like, you know what, there's actually nothing else that I really feel like is more aligned than just making this big jump away from the kind of the only life I'd known.
Everybody's free means all people, all places.
I built this cabin with the help of a couple key friends, and then with a lot of help from Meg. It's in that like sort of 220 square foot size. But yeah, it was a big learning curve. You know, I knew how to use a table saw and some basic saws, but didn't have much experience framing at all. It's been a really fun build and like really expansive, both in the skill set and feeling empowered in being able to just jump into something and do it. I've been living in this cabin for 5 years, and initially it was like very bachelor pad. None of the walls were even finished. It was just like used drywall patches with holes in different colors and everything. And the cabin actually ended right here. So that black window you see there was actually right here. You can see the old window framing. And the kitchen counter was just one single long counter that went to about here. And then my lovely to-be wife Megan moved in, and very quickly it was not big enough. And so later that summer we punched this wall out and then had a whole like new living space as the kitchen, which was like a really good addition. The cabin's like a lot of salvaged material, the vast majority of it, I would say. I think the stuff that comes to mind that we bought new was like the rafters and floor joists and all the plywood. But like all the studs were like used 2x4s. The drywall that's underneath all the mud was all used. All the roofing was used in an old barn. The floor is used. Lighting rigs were all used. The doors, the windows, the sink. We didn't actually buy very much new. Other than the core wood stuff that I listed, nothing else was bought new, which is really exciting and kept the price like way, way, way down.
Even though our kitchen is quite small, I do find it so nice to cook in. Love having all open shelving. One thing that we did kind of have to pick between was that we wanted so much light, so we do miss having some extra shelving, but honestly I wouldn't trade it for the world because we get like our beautiful views. And yeah, actually for a small kitchen, we do have a ton of counter space, which is super nice, and that was something that was like really important to us. Got our 2-burner cooktop here. It's electric. Got our mini fridge here. And then one of my favorite parts about our cabin is our small oven. Honestly, I swear by it. Cooks everything super well. And we also did stock. Like, we love doing big stock ups on dry goods. So we've got big bags of oats and cane sugar, flour, all of that stuff, which is super handy. And it is doable in a tiny house, even though it's hard to have lots of back stock. Got a super cute shelf. We both love reading a lot, so got all our favorites here. And yeah, this is really helpful for storage. It's something that you definitely have to get used to because we do have the slanted roof. You got a good little workout having to bend down, but it's good. Like, we don't keep anything that we have to like go back and forth too often. So here we have our double bed, and it's a super good use of space here tucked in the corner. Yeah, we love our little corner. And then in terms of storage, so we've got 2 drawers down there. That one's mine and that one's Luke's. It's where we keep the majority of our clothes, along with this cabinet right there. And we keep a bunch of clothes, mostly bigger sweaters and things like that. It does open this way. And then we also have these 2 awesome little chairs that are super easy. You can kind of like fold them up and put them away when you don't want them, but really nice to have. So for our bathroom, we do have an outhouse, which has a composting toilet. So it's like a sawdust kind of system.
We're fully on the electrical grid here, and the water's from a well, and we heat with wood primarily and this little wood stove. This is our little potbelly wood stove. These sorts of small wood stoves I don't think are designed to have fires going for 4 or 5 hours in them. It's instead like you get like a really hot fire going, which is really efficient and burns the cleanest. And it also like pumps the heat out. And if the building is small, such as this one, and built fairly well and is well sealed, then it'll like stay warm for a long time after that. So this is the studio, as we call it. We got this building used online for like $3,000, which is a total steal. It's like a steel outside, metal outside with rigid insulation, and was just like an amazing deal. And immediately we had a second building, and this is the studio / guest bedroom. So this is like a little futon we have, and people come and like crash here, and it's really great to have a second bed, but also a couch. And it's like kind of overflow storage, a second space for sometimes Meg gets up early in the morning and just needs to come do her own thing. And just lately where I've been able to like play a lot of music.
This is an old cast iron tub, and then we have kind of a mini little fire pit underneath. So we pretty much just fill it up with our well water with a hose, and then Luke will make the fire. We often do it on the full moon, and it's just so pretty, so relaxing. It's definitely one of my most favorite activities. So this is our upper garden, and then we also have a lower garden. So this actually started out, this was all brush and, you know, completely overgrown, and then slowly as we've been living here, we kind of developed it. So the first thing we did was started with these pallet gardens. Since then, we've kind of built them up to be raised beds. So we try to do all of our stuff up here that's like, you know, you kind of want to eat every single day. So herbs, kale, lettuces, anything where you're just like making a quick salad for lunch and you don't want to go all the way down to the garden. And also this is a super sunny spot. So last year we planted our tomatoes and peppers, which worked really well.
So this is our little like hothouse or greenhouse thing. This is an old door from my parents' house, and so this took like half an hour to make. I do a lot of makeshift construction, in case you haven't noticed, because I'm not like a trained carpenter, but I like just to get stuff up to functionality. And this is where we put all of our starts and seeds, and so we're going to do that in the next couple days here as it's spring. So we're going around to like the kind of front side of the cabin, I guess it would be, where our cars are, and this is sort of the messy side. We've come to the realization that maybe you need to have like a sort of messy area on the property. So you see we've just got a bunch of rusty old tools hanging up. We keep some long lumber under the cabin to keep it dry. Early on, I got some advice to build these little drawers that are just like wood on wood with a bit of wax. And so those are kind of like fun little storage drawers. This is like the woodshed / workshop / dry storage area. That's proving to be one of the hardest things on this property, especially living on the West Coast, is just like having enough covered, dry, flat space. So this was like a full wood stock before and is now like been used up over the winter. This is like our recycling center where we pre-sort everything so that it's really quick when we go and do the recycling. And then I've just like got all the tools, you know, table saw, chop saw. Again, this whole structure was $0 too. Maybe the roofing was like $40 used or something like that. There's always going to be a bit more stuff than you can probably fit in your small home, and so having an overflow area where there's just like a garden shed or something that you can just kind of keep the stuff you don't want inside is really important.
So just over there we have our pump house. So that's where we have our deep freezer, which is so nice. We also have our washer dryer in there, and then on the outside attached to it we have an outdoor shower with like a nice cedar fence around it. And it's been a nice transition to learn how to like really enjoy outdoor showers in the winter, but it's great. It feels really refreshing, and it's just warm enough.
So this is our garden like right before we do anything with it, and so it's super overgrown. We're very shy about our garden right now. We wish it were in better shape, but we have like there's an Asian pear tree and then 2 plum trees right here. We usually grow like a lot of root veggies and
cabbage, broccoli, lots of kale,
lots of brassicas. You know, in the years that we've really honed in on the garden, it's more than enough space to grow a lot of food.
It's quite fun, so we're excited to get back into it this spring.
We'll get your kids to a garden. With a garden they'll grow, and they'll learn to go easy, they'll learn to live slow. Get your kids.
So we live here on our friend's land. It's 2.5 acres in unceded Coast Salish Territory, and it's a beautiful scenario. It's works for everyone. We all have our privacy. I think that's a big shared understanding. It's like we don't hang out all the time, but like we're always here for each other if anything happens. So there's a way to do this that just involves nice, clear communication, and obviously some real generosity from the person who was able to access the land in the first place.
So there was like a bit of an upfront investment, and then now we each pay rent, which kind of just covers our electricity and water and things like that. But it's just been such a beautiful blessing to get to just feel like, you know, your basic need of having this roof over your head is covered.
And the cabin, it's hard to think about how much it costs, but you know, when I crunch the numbers, excluding appliances, I think this costs about $8,000, and we were able to just be really smart in the materials we used and find stuff free as much as possible. So, you know, $8,000 to have a cabin, and then cheap rent was, I mean, it's been like the kind of cornerstone piece of being able to expand our businesses and make investments in our businesses outside of spending half of our income on rent.
I'll find the melody inside of the madness. There's something beautiful inside.
I am a folk musician, songwriter, activist. I do a lot of different stuff, but it all involves you know, writing music and getting people stoked on the planet and taking care of each other and the power of community. And it's been an amazing path over the last 12 years of doing that. I've released 5 albums maybe, and I'm, you know, constantly putting out music and touring around, and I play a bunch of awesome festivals in this part of the world. It's become an amazing career path and just so joyful.
For my work, I am a holistic nutritionist, and I focus specifically on nutrition for anxiety as well as gut health. My main kind of way I work with people is one-on-one, and then from there I do all sorts of other stuff. So I'm often hosting online nutrition workshops, and then also on top of that I do a lot of recipe creation. And last year I filmed a course called Get Growing Food. So it was all about how to inspire people to start growing their own food, no matter where they live. And I also have an Eat to Ease anxiety online course. Yeah, so I feel like some of the challenges for me that show up is definitely the bathroom. And then, another one would be closet space. But at the end of the day, you just feel so happy to live where you do. And those small things really just feel like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, I think another challenge is just like in the communication game of knowing when we need space. It's been like a crash course in getting to know each other and to like learning each other's ways.
I used to live by my laws.
I think building this, you know, I was probably a dreamer initially. I was like, I'm gonna live here forever. This is like the coolest thing I've ever done. But it became apparent, I think on a whole bunch of levels, that it was like, wow, this is gonna be a beautiful chapter of our lives. We better soak this up, because one day we're gonna have a kid and it's just gonna be a different thing, and we're gonna think back to that time we just lived in like a little shack on the hill and paid almost no rent, and we're able to just like really live our lives to the fullest. I think there's a beauty in living lightly.
There I stay, and I'm like the tide.
Subscribe to Exploring Alternatives and check out our playlists for more stories like this. You can also follow Luke and Megan on Instagram. Thanks for watching.